Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a whole new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zoe, and my partner on crime, Cantu. How was your spring break, man? How was it going?
It was good. It was good. I played a little golf.
Golf. Hold up.
Terrible.
Golf.
Yeah, I went on Thursday to go play golf with my uncle and some of his friends, and I need more practice. That's for sure. But it was a good one. Spent time with the baby, with my wife. It was good. How about yours?
Good, good. Before we get to mine, I'm still with this golf. Are we good at driving? We're good at wedge, putt. I mean,
Hey,
what are we struggling in?
you know what? If someone were to pay me $1 million to drive the ball 100 yards, I would fail miserably. I'm more of a wedge guy. Like I'm pretty good with
Wedge.
those. The driving, I don't know what. I think it's a mixture of a baseball swing and a golf swing. I need to get it all to. I'll figure it out.
Dude, I love driving. When it comes to golfing, I don't know why. I could just drive straight line. For some reason, mine don't curve. Like some, I
Mine's
know for some like former baseball players,
mhm.
like for yourself, I don't know with your drive. I mean, does it curve? The ball just like go straight, and then next thing you know, it just tells the other way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
With me, it's kind of the irons, the wedging. That's my struggle part for golf. Putt. That's where it helped me. Putting's good for me. Driving's good. It's just me with the iron, the wedge. That one's kind of rough, I
If
would
we
say.
have some, if we have some golf experts watching, drop some tips in the comments because your boy needs them over here.
Yes, he does. But not my spring break was pretty good. Hanging out with the family, mentally just cool down. Rodeo, of course, too. Went to go see
Absolutely.
some concerts out there. Went to the last one too on Sunday. It was really nice. Get some rodeo action. But other than that, baseball season's almost here, dude. 8 more days. 8 more days until the Astros have their opening day. We're gonna tell this 164 panic button before opening day. Joshua Pietrash, how you doing, man? It's been a long time since we've heard from you. It's been a long time since we've done a live episode, I would
Yeah.
say, with the
Thank
guys
you.
and with the fans and audience interaction, everything like that. So it's good to have some people back in and talk some Astros baseball and give the latest. But Angel, what we got going for before we get started?
You know what? I think this is since we recorded once last week. This is more of a jam-packed episode. We have a lot going on this week. A lot of injury updates, Blake Snell rumors. I know those been venturing here there with the Astros, other teams, Giants, Dodgers, all of Astros in the mix too. Projecting the Astros starting rotation, Astros news, of course, and around the horn. But before we get into all that, again, follow the ticker down there. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts, social media, whatever social media platform we use, we are there. So hit that follow button.
Yes, 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 yes. And don't forget to, of course, look at them platforms too: Spotify, Google, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you give us a review, leave them comments, likes, stars, whatever you want to put. We appreciate the time. But let's get started with injury updates real quick, Angel, because that is the biggest thing going on right now. Ever since, from our last episode from last Monday till now, we talked about Jose Urquidy being one of the prime guys in spring, doing a great job, to be on the starting rotation, and then this injury bug just came into play, and that's been one of the biggest things for him last year was injury. He was always injury prone and always hurt, but I mean, it is what it is. That's the part of the game. But real quick before we go through them injury updates, look at the list what we have. I mean, Kendall Graveman, Justin Verlander, Lance McCullers Jr., Luis Garcia, and now Jose Urquidy is on the list for the Astros injured list to begin on opening day. So that hurts a lot. It just shows you too how much pitching depth the Astros have, but at the same time too, majority of the depth that's on that IL is starting pitching.
Yeah.
So real quick, oh, you want to say something before
Oh,
we get started?
yeah. I don't know if you saw there was a tweet with Bassett, Chris Bassett, about pitchers getting injured a lot more, and he's saying the contribution is that these guys are throwing harder. Uh and he kind of quote like just to quote him, he said that the human body is not made to be throwing 97, 98. More like he said more like 91, 92. Like what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you agree. I agree. Because I mean that's the biggest thing. A lot of these 97, 98 guys, but then again too, the 91, 92 mouse power pitchers, I mean, they're still getting hurt as well. It's just I feel
Yeah.
like it's the way your body moves, the mechanics as well. Is your shoulder drop in. Stuff like that comes into play, and of course, getting ready for the season as well. Look at Justin Verlander right now, just taking his time. He knows what his body is too, at the age of what, 40, 41 years old that he is. So players through the years, yes, throwing hard is good, but at the same time too, I don't know if it's that part of pitchers getting hurt because speaking of guys throwing hard, Johan Duran, my fault, from the Twins, he's sidelined with an oblique injury too.
Yeah.
So, um, or something like that. I don't think it's necessarily the guys like 97, 98, but I would take a pitcher that's throwing 91 through 93 miles per hour that's efficient, commands there, velocity is not a big issue, and with a 2.1 ERA in the bullpen than a guy that throws 97, 98 plus that's gonna be with a 4 sub 3 ERA, I would say.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're kind of lost in the time where you had guys like Jamie Moyer, Ted Lilly, who were just locate, and I think those that area is kind of like dissolving slowly. I think it's if you throw hard, you're gonna get that invitation to spring training, like Chris Bassett said, every
Mhm.
single time because they can kind of fix the mechanics, right? But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think a lot of these injuries have to do with these guys throwing it off faster. I would even say not just the fastball, but throwing like the slider and the curveball faster because like now you're seeing like sliders almost in the low 90s and just that whip that your arm gets when you throw one of those. It's kind of like it's crazy how that works.
I could agree with that part because nowadays kids are starting to find out like when can I start throwing a curveball? When can I start throwing a slider? Back then when we are growing up, it was always, fastball, two seam, four
Change
seam
up,
kind of thing.
even a
Changeup as
change up
well.
because you would just grip it with your fist, like with your whole
Exactly. And
hand.
then maybe a curveball you could put in your arsenal, but getting into the off speed pitches, I think you'd get to that phase of when you start throwing in high school, I would say. But like you're saying, but to your point with the 91, 92, that could be the biggest X factor, I would say maybe pitchers are getting hurt, not just throwing 97, 98, but the low sliders going 91, 92. You're even seeing sinkers going at low to mid 90s as well. So, and then two, to counter off that real quick, kids now these days, recruiters for colleges are looking for kids that could throw hard as well. Throwing across the diamond over 90, they're gonna give you like an offer, no matter what on your defense. You could have a subpar at bat. Your offense could be there, little low contact profile, but if you're throwing over 90 across the diamond at third base or shortstop
Yeah,
when you go to those showcases or those scouting days, by all means, they might offer you something not big, but maybe something small.
yeah, I
But let's
agree.
real quick go to these injury updates with Jose Urquidy. We got to start off with him Friday. We'll break down the day by day for him. So Friday, Urquidy walked off the mound with an elbow injury after throwing 43 pitches in a minor league game. Saturday comes along and Urquidy still felt sore in his right elbow and then flew back to Houston to be examined by team doctors. Sunday, they're awaiting the results on the MRI. And then yesterday, which you're listening to this today, of course, we're live on Monday. Joe Espada announced that Jose Urquidy has been diagnosed with a forearm muscle strain in his right arm. So most likely he's going to be starting on the IL. And I got to ask you this because after that, we'll get into that Blake Snell rumor here throughout the show in a minute. But how big of a hit this is for the Astros, knowing that they already have Justin Verlander kind of trying to get back on place, but he's going to start on the IL in the beginning of the season. JP France, he's supposed to be ready for opening day. I don't know if he'll be pitching them games against the Yankees or not, but he's supposed to be ready for opening day. Things like that. Where do they go from there? Do you see them possibly looking at the free agent market, looking at the trade market as well? How big of it is to lose Jose Urquidy at this time?
It's a major hit because now the Astros are left with a lot of question marks at the back end of the rotation. Like earlier, you could have made an argument that maybe they don't need to sign a guy like Blake Snell because you have your five rotation pieces already set. You're gonna get Verlander back soon, right? But now with this injury, you're really looking at about 3, 4 guys who are solid in the rotation. You have guys like Framber, Javier Brown, who are gonna be your three possibly JP France. I don't think he pitches in New York against the Yankees, probably against the Toronto Blue Jays. And then and then you're left scratching your head of who is that fifth guy? Is it Ronel Blanco? Is it who by the way has had a great spring, or is it Brandon Belak as well? Who, if JP France is not ready, that's probably the guy who's gonna get the next opportunity. But he hasn't had a great spring. He's 0-2 with a 7.36 ERA. He's pitched in 5 games, started one, and he's only pitched 7 innings this spring. So I mean, it's like you can't like. I'm not gonna say the Astros have to pull the trigger, but I'm not saying they got like sign Blake Snell, but you probably do have to bring somebody in. It doesn't have to be a big name guy. It's just someone that's going to eat some innings because again, they are getting Justin Verlander back, and if all goes good with this rotation, you get Urquidy back, right, and you get Lance McCullers back in mid-June, Luis Garcia back in mid-July, Luis Garcia in mid-July as well. So it's just these early season injuries, and there's still a lot of question marks with Urquidy. We don't know how long he's going to be out. So I don't think the Astros are pressing the panic button just yet, but they are looking at their plan Bs, plan Cs, plan Ds. Like they are weighing their options of what needs to be done.
I'll say this: if Urquidy comes, whatever time Urquidy comes back, he could probably. It's looking to me. It's looking around. I would say May to
Yeah.
June. That's where you're going to look at because that's a farm strain. That's dealing with the elbow, all them type of things. You know how that goes. When he comes back, do you put him in the bullpen for the rest of that? For the rest of the season, I would say until like you need a big majority start from a guy like him. What would you think about that?
I mean, I can see that as an option. I would say it'll be too early to tell just because you don't know what you're going to get in the sophomore season of Hunter Brown and JP France, depending how those guys are doing. Like if they're replicating what they did last season, then you saw it firsthand last year. Jose Urquidy was put in that bullpen spot when he came back from the injury, save his arm a little bit. But it just all depends because honestly, who would you rather have in the back end of a rotation, Reno Blanco or Jose Urquidy, or Brandon Belak or Jose Urquidy? It's going to be Jose Urquidy 100% of the time. I would say. I
I
would
don't know.
say.
I mean,
I
as
would.
of
I
right
mean,
now, I'm looking at Ronel Blanco.
no,
Being honest with you,
right. No, no, no. Yeah, like he's having a great spring. Like I'm not doubting that. But if
yeah,
Ronel Blanco is having like an average season, and so is, JP France or Hunter Brown. I mean, with Jose Urquidy's experience and with the potential of what he could do, I could see maybe you start him in the bullpen just to get him back, or maybe have a rehab assignment in the minors. But I'd say is Jose Urquidy's healthy and they're not pitching up to par, I would say he's being in the starting rotation. But if things work out for the Astros, where these young guys are doing what they did last year, then I do see him in the bullpen. So I mean, like it just depends on the situation.
yeah. Feel free to put your comments too. What do you think? Should they, or Kitty? What happens? Do they need to go sign somebody? Maybe need to trade somebody as well. Give us your thoughts. Give us your comments. Let us know down below in the comments. But for me, I think right now you got Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, Hunter Brown. Them are the only, like you're saying, the only three that's like ready right now.
Yeah.
JP France is still coming into play, so that's most likely going to be your 4 or 5 guy. Ronel Blanco at this moment looks like the number 5 guy for me. If the Astros go sign a guy like Michael Lorenzen, which last year his profile was pretty good. He pitched really well with the Detroit Tigers, got a bid to the All-Star game, and then got traded to the Phillies. I think his first or second start, he threw a no-hitter. He did pretty good for the Phillies, and then kind of late that season, I think he's kind of starting fall off the wagon a little bit. But I mean, the potential for him is still there. I've seen a video of him still throwing some BP as well to some live hitters. So that's could be an option. If you don't go the Snell route, there's a guy like Lorenzen that's out there that's a possible 1 to 2 year deal. You're not looking to overpay that kind of guy, which we'll talk about here in a minute with Blake Snell. But let's go through the rest of the injury updates real quick. But Justin Verlander, per Brian McTaggart, JV talked after Thursday's bullpen, and he quote, "I feel really good. I'm definitely getting close to facing hitters. If it's not this time, then very soon. I'm hopeful. It depends on how I feel over these next 3 or 4 days, but it's definitely on the table." And some positive things to see too. Verlander said he hit 92 to 93 miles per hour on the radar gun. Monday, which is today, Joe Espada had said JV should face hitters, quote, in the next day or two. Very positive sign to see if you're a Nationals fan, because with all the injuries happening right now, with, especially from Jose Urquidy, it's kind of like, okay, somebody needs to step up, or the rehab kind of has to get a little bit more intensified, kind of not rush, but let's get it going. Then he could be prepared for not opening day, but the next upcoming series whenever he gets off the IL. And then Joshua, real quick, I think they should sign Snell. I'm worried about Urquidy having a major arm injury, and then continues to say, and that would be devastating to the rotation, which it would be. It would be
Yeah.
devastating to the rotation. But to me, I see it as like, okay, they signed Blake Snell. You got more depth in that bullpen. You could put Luis Garcia there. You could put Lance McCullers there. You could put Urquidy there. And right now with the bullpen, I know you got that back end of that, from Abreu, Hader, Presley. They need somebody right there in that mid part to kind of step up. Rafael Montero has looked good in some games in spring training, but then he's kind of fell off a little. So somebody has to step up in that aspect. I say, like, if they do go sign a guy like that, then you're possibly going to be seeing those guys be in a bullpen role just for that middle relief, to eat some innings just in case.
And then for that, I would look into Seth Martinez. He's having a great spring as
That's
well.
right. I forgot about him.
Uh, 0 ERA, 7 games pitched, 6 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts, and hasn't allowed yet to hit a run. So he's having a good season there. Just keep his mind in there because he might play big. Because you're right, Hader, Presley, and Brian Abreu cannot pitch all the innings, so they're going to need guys like that to step up. But yeah, I mean, they have options, and then I know with Wheatley, he's hurt, so I don't think he's gonna be ready for opening day as well. So look for a guy like that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And then we got Jordan Alvarez, which is not major concern, but of course we have to address it real quick. Friday, Alvarez left the game with an unknown injury. Saturday comes into play. Espada had addressed the media and said Alvarez left with an allergic reaction in his eye and is doing fine. Then later, which was today, on social media, people were going crazy when Alvarez left the game and only had 2 at bats. But Spada said that was the plan overall, for Jordan to have 2 at bats. So nothing major concern there. Just had to throw it out there. Another guy, Gray Kessinger, which is, for the infield depth, I would say. He limped on his way to home plate on an Alvarez RBI single, left the dugout with a trainer. Later, Kessinger was diagnosed. Well, not really diagnosed, but Astros had announced that was a right hamstring discomfort, which there's that word, discomfort, that no one likes to hear. But later, Joe Espada addressed that Gray Kessinger had a cramp in his right hamstring. So I know personally from experience from them hamstring injuries, dude. Let me tell you, them things hurt.
Yeah,
Them that, like, it feels like if somebody shot you in the leg.
yeah. I think both of us put our hamstring in Sunday league. Like, it's terrible. Like mine was about 4 or 5 years ago, and to this day, I still feel it when I'm like lifting something heavy or, don't stretch. Like for example, I showed up late to one of the games because I was coming back from Austin. Literally, I got there. They're like, "Hey, you're up to hit." I was like, "Oh man, okay." So like, no stretching, no nothing. Taking that bat on my way to first. I had to like slow down like before I even got there because I already felt it tying up. I was like, "Nah, I have to go stretch out." So yeah, those could be a little pesky too.
That's kind of ended my career in Sunday League. You already know what happened from there. Yeah,
Yeah,
that ended my career in baseball. I don't play no more. I don't even play softball no more. But yeah, and them hamstring injuries, them are a big thing. So hopefully nothing major there. The Astros just continue to monitor it, and Kessinger as well. They got to just follow the method of Rice. I would say rest, ice, elevation, and I believe the E is, yeah,
I think
elevation.
set the E elevation.
Oh, the
Man,
C I was missing. The C I was missing. Compression. Compression.
there
I would
you go.
say.
Hey,
There it
tips from
is.
Zoe.
There it is. And that's what that degree for sports conditioning will get you at A&M. Shout out to the Mags, which they did lose against the Gators that weekend,
Yeah.
which
Did you
was
see
pretty
that
hard.
first game? That was a crazy game.
Dude, it was going back and forth. A&M
Yeah,
had it, lost it at the end.
yeah.
But
But
that Florida team is dangerous, dude.
yeah, dude, the way they can just take the ball at the pop park so easily is just it's crazy.
That's SEC baseball for everybody out there. SEC.
And a shout out to the Aggies. Both the women's and the men's basketball team are in the March Madness, and they're both going against Nebraska. So that'll be interesting to see,
That's pretty funny, dude.
right?
Pretty cool. Both teams are going against the Cornhuskers. I got to shout out my Cougs out there too. U of H, number
And
one
number one
seed.
seed.
So we'll have to see what happens with the bracketology and things like that. But let's move on to Blake Snell. I think that's what people would rather hear than us talking about college
Are you sure
basketball.
about that?
I think so. I think so. But Blake Snell, after the right elbow injury to Urquidy, I mean, real quick, in a snap of a finger, I would say Ken Rosenthal and Chandler Rome broke the news saying, quote, the Astros are in serious pursuit of Blake Snell, two-time Cy Young Award winner, Blake Snell, who's still on the market. And then per Mark Feinstein, who works for MLB, he said Snell threw 4 simulated innings on Friday in Seattle in front of scouts from teams including the Giants and the Astros per source. And then to follow up, Bob Nightingale, USA Today, he had his Sunday column out there, and I quote, he had two-time Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell has informed the Astros that he's willing to sign a short-term deal to join them, but is seeking at least a 2-year guarantee for $66 million that includes an opt-out after the 2024 season. And then I mentioned, plus, if the Astros signed Snell, they will be over the third luxury tax threshold, which meaning it will lose their 2 draft picks, 102 and 193. So from this injury news, the Jose Urquidy situation, Justin Verlander still backed up from his, throwing. He should be ready to go in one of those series in the beginning of the season. But do the Astros need to sign Blake Snell? A yes or no question.
Do they need? Uh, Maybe, right? Will they? Probably not. And again, they proved me wrong before earlier. If you do recall with the Josh Hader, right? I literally said they will not. But I'm gonna say it again. I don't think they signed Blake Snell. Um, this time, it's just they're going 30 more into the luxury tax. That's already the third threshold, and they will lose a draft pick. And as you can see in the Astros farm system today, draft picks are pretty valuable, right? Like to get these prospects, but I don't see it. I will offer some alternatives though. Like you mentioned before, Michael Lorenzo will be a great pickup. I feel like he's one of the guys that's kind of like yeah, like you're not really hearing from him because you still have Jordan Montgomery available, Blake Snell, but he's one of the guys that I truly think could have a really good season given a chance. And it's not like these guys are not ready. It's not that, well, like they're not just sitting in their couch doing nothing. Like they're throwing bullpens. Uh, they're getting ready for the season because they can get signed at any moment's notice. And a few names as well as Noah Syndergaard as well. Like you've seen him with the Angels, Mets. Yes, he hasn't been as dominant as he once was, but he's gonna give you some innings. He's gonna, he has the experience that the Astros could probably be using that back end of the bullpen. And there's also 2 former Astros that could possibly be pretty pretty good for the Astros back in the rotation. That's Jake Odorizzi and Vincent Velasquez. I think they're still free agents there. Velasquez has been bounced around from different teams, but again, right now what the Astros need is inning eaters while Verlander gets healthy, Urquidy gets healthy, and possibly even till Lance McCullers Jr. Luis Garcia get healthy. So I think these are players that are not going to cost an arm and a leg like Blake Snell. Are not going to lose your draft pick. Are not going to put you over the luxury tax like they are, but they're going to do their job and they're going to give you quality starts. They're going to get you what you need. They're going to get you outs is what I'm trying to say. Like they're going to be out there and give you their best and give you outs, set it up for that bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, you do make a point. Jake Odorizzi, I think he hasn't pitched since the Astros won the World Series, I would say.
Yeah,
Because
I
last year
think so.
he had an injury before I think spring training or at spring training when he was with the Rangers, and he hasn't pitched in a while. But like you said, I'm pretty sure he's of course doing his daily routine, stretching, all them type of things. Vincent Velasquez is an interesting one. I don't know how old he is or he will
Oh, give
be,
me a second. I think I had it right here.
but real quick
Oh,
with me, I think honestly it just depends on the contract. How much you're going to give Blake Snell? 2 years for 66 million and opt
but it's
out
not
after
even for 2 years.
2024. That's
It's
what
an
I'm
opt
saying.
out.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I'm like, I'd rather do a year for 30 million, maybe not even. If he wants to win a World Series, I think that's the team he would want to join. I would say,
Look at Matt
but
Chapman. He took a major pay cut to get
yeah,
to play, and
but what was his contract though? That's the thing. What's his AAV?
I think it
Because
was
that's
what
the
20
biggest thing right
20
now in these
something.
contracts.
It
20
was 20
something for
something.
AAV.
Yeah, yeah,
So Snell's not even looking towards something like that. And
yeah.
of course, they all have the same agent, which is Scott Boras. But Blake Snell coming off of a Cy Young, we're talking about two different people. Matt Chapman, of course, he's a Gold Glove winner and all these things. He had a great season in the beginning with the Blue Jays, but fell down that second half. Blake Snell did it through, I don't know how many starts he pitched last year, but he was healthy all season long for the Padres, and then winning that Cy Young. That's why he's staying kind of firm on what he wants. I would say, man, if you're talking maybe 25 to 30 million, I wouldn't be opposed. 1 year, but for him, I think he's kind of not confident in the way he's going to pitch like he did last year. You're coming from a different league. That was the National League. Now you're coming to the American League with a bunch of powerhouse teams, I would say.
Yeah,
So
you're absolutely right.
to me, it just depends on the contract. If you're going to give him a year to 25 to 30 million, I don't see why not. Because you get a guy like Snell, and like I was saying, with that back end of the rotation, you move guys like McCullers, Luis Garcia, Jose Urquidy into the bullpen, and then just in case, in another scenario for the Astros, if they have an injury through, because not everybody's going to be healthy through the whole season. Not every starter is going to start every game that he's supposed to. Some of them is going to miss a start. Someone's going to miss, a start here and there. That's why I say maybe getting a Snell. One of those guys don't start. You could put in Lance McCullers Jr. You could put in Ronel Blanco. You could put in Jose Urquidy, Luis Garcia. I think that's the biggest thing because we've talked about this before. Pitching is going to be the biggest thing going into the playoffs. If you have a good pitching depth in your rotation and your bullpen, you're going to succeed in the playoffs, just like the Rangers, just like the Astros, all these other teams we have announced, the Braves as well. That's the biggest if factor. If the Astros are going to want to go back to the postseason and to the World Series, they're going to have to kind of, I'd say honestly, sign a guy like Blake Snell.
Okay. And I actually, to correct myself on the Matt Chapman, he took 16 million salary with a 2 million signing bonus, so basically 18 million a year.
You could do, okay. So another thing too, I think you could do incentives instead of doing those
See, but
type
he's not
of
gonna want that.
guarantee.
You see, like if he's not like if Blake Snell's not, you know, really negotiating, he's just saying firm. I don't think, I don't think they're gonna sign him.
Yeah, Chad Lopez, Blake Snell gone.
Yeah, I don't
So
think it's gonna happen.
yeah, I mean it remember last time I did say 25%. I did say that.
Yeah.
You'd said 0%, but there's a chance that the Astros could get him. And if the Astros are kind of in that win now mentality, I don't see why they shouldn't. But I do understand on their aspect of getting, losing draft picks and then the third, luxury tax as well. Um, so you do understand that part. It is the business, and of course they got to look at the future of signing their core guys like Bregman and Tucker and Valdez.
I was actually going to mention Alex Bregman because he's the Scott Boras agent as well.
Hmm.
You think he's looking at how the market is? Like, I think MLB is slowly pushing Scott Boras out of the market. Like this game of waiting to like it's not working anymore. You saw
Hmm.
Matt Chapman turn down more than 20 million a year, and he took 17. You know,
Bellinger as well.
Bellinger as well. Yeah, I knew there was one more guy I was missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was Bellinger. You think? I'm not saying Bregman's going to sign with the Astros. I'm not saying that, but do you possibly does this free agency give Bregman a chance to maybe take a lesser deal with the Astros instead of playing free agency, knowing that a two-time Cy Young Award winner is still in this, like, with literally 8 days into the regular season unsigned, and teams don't want to pay him that much? You think he's kind of like well, maybe I need to do this, maybe I need to do that?
I'd say there's like a little concern, but at the same time too, he has to play the season out.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have a good season, then maybe he's looking to do something like that, like you said. Um, I think it just depends on how this season goes for him in 2024. If it goes good, then he's going to test free agency. I know the Mets are a team. Steve Cohen had said
Oh,
Juan Soto.
breaking news! Breaking news! Sorry, Blake Snell agrees to a 2 year, $62 million deal with the Giants.
Well, there you
Or
go.
John Heyman. Yeah.
There you go. Breaking news on this live show. Blake Snell, like Angel had said, has agreed to a 2 year, $62 million deal with the San Francisco Giants. Wow. I'm kind of interested to see what the Astros numbers are, but that's pretty damn near what Snell wanted, and
Yeah.
there you go. He got it. I'm pretty sure he's gonna get an opt out after 2024 too.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure.
But
And now he's gonna see Freeman, Otani, Betts. More times this year too.
think about that, dude. The NL West is pretty damn
I
stacked.
mean, he was with the Padres. He pitched pretty good, right? But now you had Otani there, so yeah.
Yeah.
But
Joshua, well, there goes that option out the door. Yep.
you
Pretty
know
much
what?
for the Astros.
This whole show just go ahead and clean it off.
Nah, but that's interesting. He did follow his manager to San Fran. That could be another big part.
Yeah.
Bob Melvin was with the Padres, and he signed with the Giants this offseason. So could be a big X factor right there. So the Astros are going to have to go back to the drawing board. And like Angel said, maybe those pitchers that he announced, the Astros could be targeting before opening day.
Yeah, and we are 7 minutes late to report it again. We're not really on our phones while we're recording, so
We're debating
So-
basically on the parts of should the Astros sign or not.
yeah.
There it goes, right there.
This
So
podcast out the window.
yeah, pretty much. So let's move on from the Blake Snell's rumors and go to the projecting of the Astros starting rotation. So Angel, share with the guys, share with the audience. What's your projection for the Astros starting rotation coming into opening day?
I'm just gonna assume that they don't sign anybody. I'm just gonna play with the guys that they do have. So as you heard, Framber Valdez is gonna pitch opening day. Christian Javier second game, and then from there, I tell you go with your next best guy that's healthy. That's Hunter Brown. Give me some Renault Blanco and then JP France that fifth game. The reason JP France that fifth game because again he's close to being ready, so you can. And like, there's no day off in between, so maybe that fifth game could be a bullpen game or Brandon Belak start. But if JP France is ready, then I think he'll be the fifth guy.
Yeah, I agree. Framber, for sure. Framber, Christian Javier, and Hunter Brown's the three guys for me. I'm still debating on if the Astros are going to sign somebody especially after the breaking news of Blake Snell. I'm intrigued to see what other options are out there if they're going to, which I highly doubt. Well, this is like a 1% chance that Spencer Arrighetti is going to be starting on the opening day roster. So I'll say Framber, Javier, Brown. I'll go with if they do sign somebody, they're not going to be ready. So it's going to have to be Ronel Blanco or JP France, like you said. It's going to have to be those five guys.
Yeah, and like again, like we're saying is like what Lorenzo means by they're not ready. It's like they're doing their reps, but throwing bullpens is a lot different than facing hitters, there. So even if the Astros do sign someone at this point, like I wouldn't be surprised if they give them one or two starts in the majors before in the minors before they bring them up. So it's not like it's just to get back into game speed because again, throwing bullpens and getting to game speed are two different things.
Yeah, maybe the end of April, you could be looking at one of those. I honestly think they might sign a free agent. I feel a good 75-25% chance that what's going to happen. So looking before the end of April, I would say one of those free agents, whoever it is, could be on that board. And a guy like Ronel Blanco could be possibly off and move to the bullpen. Just has to see how the rotation goes through that month of April.
Yeah, and then like we said, Framber Valdez is pitching opening day. It's his third consecutive season. I know you had Verlander, and it's curious to see if Verlander does not get injured. I still think it's Framber Valdez pitches opening day, but you had Verlander, and I think he had a good chance if he doesn't get hurt to start opening day. And then Christian Javier does pitch the game 2 against the Yankees. But let me talk to you about Javier. I do have a question for you because Christian Javier has had a good spring. Like I'm not going to give you that, but his last start. Well, he pitched today. And we're listening to this live. The game was still going on when we started, but it concluded a few minutes ago. And he kind of looked like the Javier from last year, which could be a little, concerning. But he pitched 4 and 2/3, 3 hits, 5 earned run, 4 walks, and 1 strike. I think this has been the most walks he's allowed this spring in a single game, and I think this is the least strikeouts he had so far this spring in a single game. So again, he's been having a good spring, but I this is the guy Javier is that you wanted to have a great spring to get that momentum into the start of the season. What do you think about this start? Like this start with this possibly being Christian Javier's last start. How are you feeling about him to start the season?
I think I'm still feeling good. Honestly, it's a one start, one bad start. It was like the other day we had talked about Framber Valdez. His one start, it wasn't good. The next start he did, it was pretty good. And that was what we forgot to had mentioned. He that second start he had pitch comp with Yainer Diaz. So,
Okay.
but it just doesn't define one start and things like
Mhm.
that. Obviously the walks are a major concern, but at this point in I mean, like we said, where it's almost opening day, what, 8, 10 more days till opening day. And he's your number two guy right now. I honestly think he has had a good spring. He looked good in camp. Coming into camp too, he lost 15 pounds. It just depends on his next two starts for me, if or the next one start, whatever.
I don't think he's pitching again this spring. I think that was his possibly
That
his
was
last
his
start.
last one.
Because, well, I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance because I'm looking at the schedule. Right now they play Tuesday. Oh, I'm sorry, tomorrow against the Marlins, and then they don't play until Friday, which is March 22nd. So they have like a week, and then March 24th. Yeah,
I
and
say
then
he
they
might
have.
have one start.
You think so? I mean,
Maybe,
it,
maybe.
it could it could possibly be that Sunday against the St. Louis Cardinals or that Monday against the Space Cowboys. I think those will be in Minute Park. So I guess you're right. I think he has one more.
Yeah, I think yeah, one bad start. It is what it is. But we had talked about it too in the last episode that you're gonna have to have a Javier this year that's gonna give you 5 to 7 innings. The 5 innings to four and a third, 4 2/3. That's really not gonna help this rotation, especially as of right now. Somebody's gonna have that
Okay.
next man up mentality. Framber Valdez is gonna have to pitch a little bit more innings, I would say. Hunter Brown's going to be, obviously it's going to be his second full season with the Astros. So there's going to be a kind of not a big responsibility on him, but he's going to have to show them like, I could be able to handle this workload and pitch more innings if you need. And it's just going to depend on command from him. Same thing as Javier. Command is the biggest thing for him. The velocity is there for that fastball. It looks like he's gotten a little tick or two on it, but just command. If he could follow, find the command, if this is 4 walks, Javier, of course, it's going to be worrisome. But if you get maybe a walk, no walks, 2 walks possibly from Javier, then you're looking good.
Yeah, and I'm I'm looking at the schedule right now. He's pitching that game too, which is Friday. So if I'm counting 5 days, it'll be the start on Saturday against the Mets. Uh, it'll be a 12 o'clock game, or that Sunday. Because if he pitches that Sunday, he'll be pitching exactly on 5 days rest against the Yankees. So it just depends. I guess. Yeah, I guess you're right. He does got one more start.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. You got to feel confident where they're at right now, but it's too early to tell if we're panicking on a guy like Javier. I'd say.
Yeah, and a guy that I think deserves a lot more credit is Joey Luperfield. He's having a great
Yeah.
spring. In 13 games, he's batting 423, 692 slugging, 1,175 OPS. In total, all that calculates to 11 hits, 5 doubles, 1 triple, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, 1 stolen base. And then this is from an article from China Rome. He says, Chas McCormick said about Looper Peter, I can tell he's going to settle into the big leagues just fine. Everybody likes him. And he was playing center field today, so that's kind of interesting too, because especially
Wow.
since, and he has some range. I saw him make a catch in a warning track too. And that comes into fine because Jake Myers has had a decent spring too. But
Mhm.
if Jake Myers is not cutting it, and you know that's another option you have besides Corey Jokes. I know Corey Jokes doesn't really play center field though, so I think Looper Fielder playing center field is pretty. It's like it gives them a little advantage, I would say, because I think that's the need they have because they have Tucker in right,
Right.
yeah,
Alvarez and left.
Alvarez and left. Even honestly, I think that's gonna be a platoon between Chas McCormick
Mhm.
and Alvarez. I think those are pretty good options. 'Cause honestly, I think if Chas McCormick is almost on any other team, he's having a starting role easily, not platooning with anybody. Um, so it just comes down to can Jake Myers hit like literally like we know he can field. It's just can he hit? And I think he has more pressure now because last year he had Chas McCormick, him, and now he has Looper Fielder, who's also doing really good. So he has a little bit more pressure on his hands. But is there, talking about Looper Fielder, like, is there a chance he's going to make the opening day roster, or what's your input on that?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the coffin. Honestly, he does put pressure on Jake Myers. Nothing against Myers because he's had a good spring, like you were saying. Another thing too, like you were talking about with Chas McCormick, you're going to possibly see a lot of him in left field this year. I think, honestly, because I do see Jordan Alvarez being in a DH role. I believe Espada had mentioned too that there's possibility that you could be seeing more fielding. No, what would you say? He'll be in left field
Hmm.
most of the time, but of course the Astros don't want to put any risk on that part for him. So you're like you're saying, there'll be probably a platoon between Chaz and himself. That takes Corey Jokes out of the question. In right field, you're gonna automatically you're gonna have Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker loves playing defense. Obviously, he has a Gold Glove out there. You could put Mauricio Dubon too if you want in right field. But I honestly think Joey Cooks, as they call him, Joey Luperfido is gonna be on the opening day roster. I
Okay.
honestly see it. I
Where's the
honestly
buzzer?
see
Where's the buzzer? There's a little siren.
right? But yeah, I think he's had a good spring. Number 6 prospect on the Astros farm system, according to MLB Pipeline.
Now,
So yeah,
I'm just saying hypotheticals here. I'm maybe getting a little advanced of myself. Again, this is just to have some dialogue here. If Looper Fielder has a great season, you know, 20 home runs, 60 plus RBIs, does that limit the amount of money they will offer Kyle Tucker just because they know they have that option, a younger option? Like,
mm, I don't think so.
I don't think
I
so either.
still think Kyle Tucker is a 5 tool guy. That is, he is the future. No offense to Alvarez for the Astros, but Kyle
Yeah.
Tucker is a guy that I mean, Kyle Tucker. The biggest thing with him between him and Alvarez, he hasn't gotten hurt for the Astros.
Yeah.
And knocking on wood, because we don't like to wish on anybody's health like that. He's been healthy through the season. Obviously, he's almost had a 30-30 season last year, which Kyle Tucker does still to this day, I
Yeah.
think. And
He,
me and
he
you,
has it.
Corley, too. Well, yeah, we believe he has the 30-30 season. But he got a special guy like that. I don't think Joey Luperfido coming into play is going to put an impact on Kyle Tucker's future contract extension for the Astros. I would say this too. I forgot I had mentioned at Duke University, he did play some first base.
Interesting.
So I don't know if he's been playing some first base in spring, doing some fielding in the background of it. I don't know if he's done, with working with Abreu, working with John Singleton. But that would give him a bigger advantage to stay on the roster because nothing against John Singleton, but you got a guy like Luperfido that's pretty young, and you got a guy like Singleton that's been in out of the minors into the majors, cut from some teams. You got a guy like that. There's a possibility you could put Luperfido in that first base situation to back up Jose Abreu, just in case.
And don't forget about Trey Cabbage. He had a home run today.
Yeah, Trey Cabbage. Joshua said I think he should have had a 30-30 season too, so he agrees with us on the Kyle Tucker situation.
Yeah, but again, we told you it was a jam packed episode, 45 minutes spending on talking about Astro updates. Uh, yeah, but it was good, and thank you for everybody who's tuning in. I think we had a huge crowd tuning in, so appreciate that. Appreciate the
Yeah.
love and support again. more comments, please. Like, well, let us know what you think, input. But let's move on to around the horn. Let's start with St. Louis. I know the Astros just played them in the spring breakout, which Spencer Urquidy in that spring breakout, he did pretty good. Two solid innings.
Yeah.
I don't think he allowed a hit. No runs, obviously.
It
Eh,
does suck though too that they didn't even show no video footage
Oh
from the spring
yeah,
breakout game.
I was
There
on
was
the
no
road.
audio either, I think.
There was audio because
There was audio? Okay.
I was on the road because I was taking my siblings back to I was meeting my mom halfway
Mhm.
to go take him back home, and I was it was 9 o'clock game. I was leaving at 10. I was like, you know what, it'd be perfect for the road. It was just audio, but the audio was like if it was like it wasn't a radio call. It was like if we were like if you were watching it, so it kind of like you know a little lost of like what's going on, what's happening. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, like there was a string call, which again, it would have been nice to see it. But yeah, I mean, so okay, going back to St. Louis, they extended manager Oliver Marmol to a 2-year contract through that runs through the 2026 season. I think it's a good move for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have the season they wanted, but I'm sure like if they extend him 2 years, they shows that they believe in him, which could leave some motivation for the manager, which can move to motivation to the team as well. And I don't know if you've been watching baseball late at night. I don't know, like those night owls who are adapted to the Korean time. The Seoul series starts this Wednesday and Thursday at 5 a.m. Central on ESPN. However, the Dodgers and Padres have been playing the Korean national team uh, as well. So it's pretty good. It's baseball. I did see some clips again because I'm not waking up early to see the Dodgers and Padres play against the Korean national team. But it's it seems like a really good atmosphere. I think other players are excited. It's pretty packed as well. I think it's pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, it's great for the game. Even the international players being able to play against a major league team from America, I think that's pretty cool for them to get a shot against guys like Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. Seeing these guys on TV and actually getting to play against them live, I think that's pretty cool. But I'm excited for the future of international baseball for Major League Baseball for MLB.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy that they're regular season games. So for those of you who haven't started their fantasy teams,
Wait,
this
well, which we haven't yet. We
we
haven't
haven't
yet.
either. I
I'm
know,
waiting. I'm waiting for the manager. I'm waiting for
I
the
know, I
manager
know.
still.
I'm I'm waiting on a few guys to tell me if they're playing or not, and I'm missing one guy. So hit me up if y'all if we have room for one more. But uh, the points will accumulate for the week. So I think, for example, Mookie Betts is a home run. He'll start with that season for the week. So they won't get lost. But the Padres, I don't know if you heard, but they got Dylan Cease from the White
Yeah.
Sox, but they sent a plethora of like prospects. They sent Drew Thorpe, which was their number 5 prospect. They said Samuel Zavala, which is their 7th prospect, and they sent right-handed pitcher Dario Iriarte, who's their 8th prospect, along with right-handed pitcher Steve Wilson. You knew it was going to get done. It was just a matter of who was going to do it, who was going to offer the best package, and that was the San Diego Padres. And especially after losing Blake Snell, I think this is a good move for them. I think it puts them back in the. Yes, they still got to deal with the Dodgers and the
The
Arizona
Giants.
Diamondbacks, right? But I think, and even the Giants, even. But
Yeah,
I
don't
think,
sleep on them.
I think it puts them in a good position to compete in the NL West and even in the NL in general.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good move. I even think it's a good move for the White Sox. They're kind of
Yeah,
getting back on track to reestablishing their farm system. I think that's what they needed most. Who did they trade? I know they had done another trade. I just can't remember who it was. I know for sure they had traded with the Astros, obviously for Corey Lee, which was their number 2 or number 3 prospect in the farm system. But I want to say they did make another trade before trading with the Padres as well. I just can't remember on top of my tongue. But they're reestablishing their farm system. I think that's the biggest thing. Of course, they got a guy like Luis Robert Jr., which I'm still interested to see what they're going to do with him for the future. I don't know if they're going to keep him, maybe possibly give him a contract extension. maybe use him as trade assets to reestablish their farm system and continue to get better. Because too, you got to think about they're looking into a new stadium in Chicago,
Mhm.
so it's interesting to see what their next move would be in the upcoming seasons for the White Sox.
And did you see that Garrett Crochet is going to be their opening day starter? I think
Yeah.
he was a bullpen arm. I think it's his first career start will be on opening day. Um,
Wow.
and according to Sarah Langs, he's only the ninth pitcher to ever do it in 110 years. In the last
Oh,
110 years, to make their first career start on opening day.
MLB history right there for you.
Can you guess the name in that? Um, out of those nine
Uh,
players, just one name.
Out of those 9 players, wow, you're putting me on the spot, dude.
I'll give you. Do you want years? Or, no, that'd be
Give me a
helpful.
year. I need the era. I need the era, the
Okay,
decade.
so I'm gonna tell you all 9 years, just so you can like give a good guess. So it was the first
Okay.
one was 1920, 1925, 1938, 1939, 1943, 1944, 1981, and then 2014.
Is Babe Ruth on one of them options?
No,
Shoot, dude, I have no clue. I'm lost.
1981 was Fernando Valenzuela. Was
Oh wow,
yeah, that's the one I thought you were gonna get. So,
I do like that picture. I'm not gonna lie.
but
I
yeah,
do like him.
and then I know you have a PS5. Have you gotten MLB The Show?
I have not. I need to, but I have not yet.
You know, I'm poor over here, so I don't have a PS5, so I'm gonna have to go to Lorenzo's house and play the show whenever he has it. But it has some really cool features, though, which I've heard. Again, I don't have it. I don't have, but it does have some
You don't
cool
even play
features.
video games somewhere, I think.
I really don't. um, so it has the Negro League season 2, which that's interesting. I'm glad they put it the first time around. So like that they're
Mhm.
expanding on it, adding more people. That's always good. Derek Jeter storylines and something really new that I was kind of shocked by this, but I mean it's a good thing for the sport, get everybody involved. Is you can kind of create and play as a woman in Road to the Show as well. So I wonder how that works, right? But I mean, I guess it's the same way as you create your own
Mhm.
player. I did see the debate um, on Twitter, but like some people are fuming saying it's not realistic now. But they be creating players that are like 6'6", this big old guy from the south with the mullet hitting bombs. Like so.
I've already seen somebody posted Taylor Swift. They
Oh,
made a
really?
Taylor Swift, so and
You
of
know
course they're
what?
gonna have fun with it.
You know, I think my wife's gonna let me get it now, so she can make a Taylor Swift
You see,
Road to the Show. So so it's always
exactly.
good.
There you go. And that gives you the excuse to get into a PS5, dog. That
There
gives you
you
the
go.
excuse.
There you go. I put it on my, I put it on my wedding registry,
I do
hoping my
remember
best,
that. I do remember that.
hoping that my best man will get it. But
Shit, your best man's broke too.
just kidding. But like also for the Road to the Show, they have a new MLB scouting combine and then a revamped Diamond Dynasty. Like I know that was your thing, playing Diamond Dynasty. I'm more of a Road to the Show and playing some online exhibitions, but I don't like the Diamond Dynasty part.
The Diamond Dynasty is pretty fun. You get to play people around the world. Of course, there's people that trash talk you, and obviously there's going to be the good guys that are like 100 overall. That's the best in America. Well, shout out to them. That's pretty cool. I'm doing that for a living and being able to just play games like that. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool to do something like that. I think the women thing, I think that's pretty good. That's just
Mhm.
growing the game of baseball. I would say for for the future of this game. I don't know, sooner or later. There, I'm telling you, there's a possibility that women could be in getting into this sport. You already
Yeah,
got that in the organization, the front office aspect.
we
Got
wrote
some
an article
coaches
about
as
it.
well. Yeah. Did I? No, I've done one in soccer. I'm not sure about women's
Was it talking?
baseball. Yeah, I've done one in soccer. Not, I don't think women's baseball I have.
Yeah. Okay. But Joshua Petrash asked if we're doing cap or no cap, and if I feel like if the viewers want it, I think before opening day we can bring cap or no cap just to see like no
Yeah.
predictions, and then get your inputs on that. So we are for the people. So want it, we'll do it.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done. We've done a spring training version. Let's
Yeah.
get it going for opening day and for the rest of the season. Project what's going to happen for the season. Do you see some player doing good? Do you see the Astros doing better than this team? Do you see something, something cooking? What do you think is going to happen? So yeah, why not? I agree, Angel.
Okay. But you want to close it out, though?
Now you go ahead. Go ahead and close it out, Angel. Close it out,
Uh,
baby.
when I'm nervous, I'm nervous. But uh, that was all we have for you. Again, thank you all for listening. This was episode 164. Do not forget, like we remind you in the first time, follow us wherever you get your podcast, on Twitter, social media. We're there. Hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, that like, give us a few stars, and we appreciate you. Again, we had a huge showing on live. I think this is one of our best ones. So we'll keep them coming. We'll keep them coming for sure. And again, and I would say even just for what I think to Joshua, I think he's been one of like the main ones commenting. You know, we want more of that. That we want more of this
Yeah.
dialogue as well. We enjoy it. We you know, we like giving our 2 cents about the Astros and just baseball in general. So appreciate that.
Yeah, baseball season's here, and like Angel said, I mean, we got more to come. Baseball, the regular season's coming. Um, do we want to tell them what's happening for us and what we're gonna do?
Go ahead,
Taking a
announce it. Do
taking
it.
a
Do it.
trip. We're taking a trip to Arlington. Get some aspect out there, Globe Life Field, things like that. We'll maybe do a live show at the end of the game. Just have to see what's our schedule like, but it'll be fun being able to go out there. Um, I think this is our first for both of us being able to do
Yeah.
something like that to go on the road and do some Astros content.
And then, well, now that we have a big crowd in here, Lorenzo and I are getting into baseball writing. So, follow our scheme. You can read some of our writings we do. Like, we just don't write about Astros. We write about the visitors. We write about, Latino players out there. So that's your call. That's what you're interested in. Please uh, keep a lookout for our articles that are out there as well.
For sure. But Joshua, to close it out, yep, you can send your projections on. We'll have it on X for sure. We'll have it on Twitter. Um, I know Twitter for sure. I don't know if we'll have it on Instagram. I don't know if we're
Uh,
even going to do a live show for this one, but for sure on Twitter we'll have it.
I would just say click the little bell on Twitter so you can get that notification. So
Yeah,
when they come out, you'll see it.
definitely. But until then, like Angel said, I don't know. Actually, we might do another show this week. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe, but we'll
All right.
see. But thanks to all for joining us. Like Angel said, we did have one of our biggest crowds. This is really great for us. We're going in the right direction. Baseball season's getting closer and closer, so we're not going to stop working. We're going to keep going, work hard every day. But until then, y'all have a safe week. We'll let y'all know we'll have another show. See y'all later.
Peace.